What is love? Possibly one of the most elusive yet asked questions. What is this thing that is so highly sought after, complex, with so many numbers of determining factors, and yet we also romanticize phrases like, when you know, you know. Personally, I've always hated that phrase as someone who is constantly questioning everything. Perhaps there was a moment of absolute knowing, which then over time or over circumstance shifted to not sure, or perhaps no longer. Yet we all know that love is a powerful thing, a driving entity, something that we all deeply desire. I think perhaps this idea of this grand unconditional love, the closest that one might come to experience this may be the one of parent to child. But even though I speak honorably about this parent to child unconditional love, we all know that this is not always the case. But what happens if we didn't get this type of love or support? We continue seeking this feeling well into adulthood. But hold on a minute, this is where we run into issues. As adults, we've come to learn that relationships must have healthy boundaries, and to understand that not everything we do will be accepted. We're taught to avoid codependence like it's the plague. And we learn that we must become our own best friend because quite literally nothing and no one is permanent. Not only that, we also come to understand and realize that a lot of our relationships are transactional in nature. And I don't mean this in a pessimistic way, it's just quite rational and realistic. Funny enough, Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, used bank as an analogy to describe relationships. Basically, when we do something attentive and nice, we're making a deposit into this shared mutual bank account. And when we do something unkind or something that breaks our partner's trust, we're taking a withdrawal from that shared bank or the savings account. And the idea is that the more deposits we put into the savings account, the richer the account becomes, the cushier it is in handling any challenges or circumstances that ultimately will come into the relationship. So as a young girl who grew up watching way over the top Asian drama, which applauded characteristics like self-sacrifice, and then to being a teen and watching movies and reading books by someone like Nicholas Sparks, who is most famously known for the movie The Notebook.
So what?
So it's not gonna be easy, it's gonna be really hard.
Then to venturing into the spiritual community and learning words like soulmates and twin flame. I was absolutely way over my head with a completely unrealistic expectation of what love is supposed to look and feel like. And I thought unconditional love is the end-all be-all. If I could obtain this, if I could give it, if I could receive it, life would be complete. Yet we don't realize that this is a dangerous thought or idealization that could lead us to staying in dynamics that might be abusive in nature, or simply becoming a martyr in the name of love. No matter what they do to us, no matter what kind of damage I do to them, we will stay with each other no matter, because it is unconditional love. And on the other hand, we have a vastly rich vocabulary today about how to communicate properly with one another. And there are books that can help us with abandonment issues. There are podcasts that teaches us about the masculine and the feminine polarity. We take online quizzes to find our love languages, books to understand our attachment styles, and TikToks to warn us about narcissists and gaslighting. We've also learned that as adults, we take on sole responsibility for our own emotions, and we must stop seeking type of love that we never received from our parents and now looking for that in another person, in a partner. Instead, most of us find ourselves unconsciously magnetized to unwanted dynamics and seeing them being replayed again and again with the people that we end up with. It's like a dance where we continue to come together as people to allow these patterns to play out so that we can hopefully reach awareness, resolution, and then eventually move on. So we come together as these messy human beings to first discover all of our similarities and shared interests, then sort through our differences, and hopefully come to an agreement about whether or not we can tolerate each other long enough to find our happily ever after. Doesn't sound very romantic. Esther Perel says, Modern relationships are cauldrons of contradictory longings, safety and excitement, grounding and transcendence, the comfort of love and the heat of passion. We want it all, and we want it with one person. And she also writes, dependence is an essential ingredient of connection, but it's a producer of terrific anxiety because it implies that the one we love wields power over us. This is the power to love us, but also to abandon us. So it seems much like everything else in life, we must have the yin and the yang, the polarities, the push and pull, and we must stand at the edge of the cliff and trust fall. We seem to also need both separation and togetherness, individuality and the union. We want predictability, yet we also want excitement. We want privacy, but also disclosure.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? God damn it. What do you want?
So where does love, this grand idea, fit into this complicated equation? You know, the kind of love that poets like Rumi has written about, or that we get to see in all these fantastical romantic films. Love stories that transcends time and space. Well, first of all, it is a lot about just our biology and physiology. After all, we can't dismiss the humanness of this. For example, the feeling of lust is caused by hormones like testosterone and estrogen. Attraction is associated with dopamine and norepinephrine and serotonin, and attachment with oxytocin. Yet this doesn't feel like it covers it all. Love can feel like it is larger than life itself, perhaps a step closer to the divine. So I think love is not a static, permanent, written law. Instead, it is more like an act of creation that asks for constant shifts and evaluations. It requires our playfulness and inquiry as we ourselves grow and change. It asks us to move with life's ebb and flow as we participate in relation with each other, and to see ourselves being reflected in the eyes of our beloved and to witness the other, like a parent might, providing the security and space so that we can explore our own separate journeys and come home to share that adventure together. Here's another quote by Esther. When I see my partner on their own, doing something in which they're enveloped, I look at this person and I momentarily get a shift in perception, and I stay open to the mysteries that are living right next to me. And to me, this feels like openness and curiosity, because that is what love feels like, alive, breathing, changing, like it is filled with expansive possibilities and not constrained. And perhaps this is as close as we can come to unconditional love, of taking something as a part of ourselves. Yet instead of being able to find this delicate balance between security and freedom, what we all do instead is most of us come to one person and we're asking them to give us what once an entire village used to provide. Give me belonging, give me identity, give me continuity, but give me transcendence and mystery and all in one. We cannot expect one person to be our everything. The transcendence and the mystery and the all can be found in everything we do, in everything we experience. Perhaps that's where a large portion of love exists. And in spiritual terms, we're all longing to be fulfilled and to be reunited with the love that is from Source, to return to a feeling of true belonging. And if you desire a more earthly term, we must find our own unique ways to engage in a love affair with life itself. So I hope you gave love a chance of seeing it in unlikely places and perhaps in small, forgettable moments, and to take in people and things and experience that you love as a part of yourself. Tend to it with care, curiosity, and an open heart. Happy Valentine's Day!